recording. We're going to ask everyone at tonight's meeting just to go ahead and mute their computers. And if you'd like to speak, if you have a question or anything like that, you're going to want to choose the option to raise your hand. If you're having trouble finding that, you can just wave your hand and we can go the old-fashioned way too. If you're unfamiliar with raising your hand, you pretty much click on the little button that says reactions. It's the picture of a smiley face with a plus sign, and then you hit raise your hand, and that'll let everybody know that you'd like to speak or you have a question. This came out of just a request for folks in the room over there at Del Norte Veterans Apartment, just to make it a little bit easier for everybody to hear one person speaking at a time. So thank you guys so much. Again, if you could go ahead and mute. And Deb, we can't see the video there. I don't know if that's intentional at Del Norte, if you meant to keep the video off. But again, if you folks, if you're not speaking, if you could mute, and if you'd like to comment, please raise your hand and we'll try to accommodate that way. And John, it looks like I'm getting a little bit of feedback from you. So if you don't mind, go ahead. Thank you so much. That's perfect. Great. Well, Tom, I'll go ahead and share my screen if you'd like to take it away. Tom?
Okay, well, welcome to our hybrid meeting of Salt Lake Citizens Group. Oh, you're going to. I'm unmuted, I hope.
No, we can hear you fine, Tom. The audio is not great. It seems like you're a little far away from the microphone, but we can hear you. It's just not super loud.
Okay. So the first order of business is we have the two newly assigned to our area community resource officers from Police District 1. They are Amanda Poppin and Caitlin Campbell. And they are both here in person. And they, Alan, they will be going through slides 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And so the first two slides are up now, and this is the Salt Lake neighborhood.
Hi, everybody. Hi, I'm Officer Amanda Grodman, and I'm Technician Keelan Campbell. We're technicians now, but we are the community resource officers for District 1. So we are going to be attending these meetings from now on. Rob, Michelle, and Adam have all moved on to new positions within the department. So they're still with District 1, but we are going to know their responsibilities. So to start, we will go over the Sloan's Lake stats. So you've got them there on your screen. So the first one is previous to current. Okay. All right, so this first one just compares the December statistics with the January statistics, so just month to month. Overall, looking pretty good in Sloan's Lake. We've got a decrease in crimes against persons, a decrease in crimes against property, same with crimes against society and all other offenses. So looking pretty good across the board there.
Here.
And Tom, I'm sorry, I don't know if I think Deb said you might be using a new microphone tonight. Us online are having a really hard time hearing folks there. So I don't know if there's another option for another microphone or if we could move the microphone closer to the speakers.
Okay, is this a little bit better?
So much better, thank you.
Okay, it was in the middle of the room, we moved it. Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. All right, well, like we said, Officer Amanda Grodman, Caitlin Campbell. Oh, woo! Okay. So, which one did you have a question?
Well, this one is kidnapping, abduction. There is one.
Yes.
It's a change, but it wasn't.
Yeah, that one doesn't show identified. You're right. So I'm not sure. That one's a little bit weird, but assault was down. I don't know. I remember seeing it actually on the news. There was something about a kidnapping in the Sloan's Lake area, but I don't have a lot of details, but we can follow up on that for you guys as well. A lot of the crimes against persons stuff typically is ongoing investigations, so we can't always comment on those, but we can at least kind of provide an overview of maybe just like some details of what happened, but we don't have that information with us tonight, but we can follow up. Yeah. An armed person in a house?
Yeah, this might be an ongoing investigation, but yeah.
And officer, would you mind repeating
Yeah.
any questions that you get so those of us online can hear it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the question was, and you know what, I'm not sure. So the question was there an incident involving like a armed individual in a house, maybe like a hostage situation? Not one that I'm aware of. I'm not sure. We can look into it. We can look into it for sure. So, yeah, well, no, I mean, you want to know what's going on in your neighborhood for sure. Yeah, so everything else is looking pretty good, except for theft from motor vehicle. That is up. So we had 10 last month. There's 14 this month. So that one was an increase. So we just always encourage folks, don't leave things in your car. Don't leave key fobs, keys, purses, wallets, anything that a thief could walk by your car and look in and see and go, oh, I want that. It takes them a few seconds to get into those cars. So don't leave anything in your cars, keep them locked, try to park in, a well-lit area, the usual stuff. And then the next slide you've got right there is the previous year to current year. So you've got January 22 to January 23. So you can kind of compare year over year. So that one, again, mostly down. So less aggravated assaults, things like less crimes against persons, crimes against property, fairly stable, 34 down to 32. So still close, but just taking those proactive measures are what we just always encourage. So we will go to West Colfax. Did anyone have any questions about the Sloan's?
It's not small. I guess it's on Decatur.
Okay.
One on the 11th is Decatur for that little kid.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, we can't speak. So the question was, there was a homicide that occurred Sunday night at 11th and Decatur. Again, ongoing investigation, so we can't divulge too much. Essentially, it was an auto theft.
Yes.
An individual found his stolen car, approached it with a handgun, and there was an exchange of gunfire. And one individual was killed, and that individual was a juvenile. So definitely they are seriously investigating that, figuring out charges. I know the involved party was cooperative with the police, but we don't have any further.
I guess he used his cell phone to find the car.
Yeah, he had a tracker. Yeah. So with that being said, do not chase your stolen cars. Let us know and we will get it once it's parked, because really tragic situation there. So
The attorney on TV said it's best just leave them alone because charges will be filed.
yeah, exactly. And they just have a lot of property crimes have the opportunity to become violent because a lot of the time folks are armed. So it's better to just let it be, and then we will take care of it afterwards. So yes, yep, yeah. So okay. We don't have those statistics on here. Sorry, guys. The question was if we have traffic accidents. We don't have them in these statistics, but we do have the ability to pull that. If there is a problem area that we're trying to address, then we will review those statistics for like traffic accidents. If there's like an intersection that we've seen repeated traffic accidents, then we can work with, actually with DOTI, the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, to see what we can do to mitigate some of those issues. But yeah. Okay.
There's frequently traffic.
Yeah. Okay.
There's 2 stop signs.
Sure. Yeah.
Know that there is trying roundabouts their street.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
Maybe not this one. So I don't know if we're getting any statistics. There is a lot of bad things happening in the area. It feels like these statistics we give them are kind of. Well, it's a little bit better than last year.
Yeah. Yeah, they have changed the reporting from last year. So now it is a little bit more
Sorry, would you mind
specifically
repeating the
talk about-
question or statement?
Yeah, okay. He's just basically asking about traffic. If we have those statistics, you know, these statistics that we have currently up on the screen are a lot better than the ones that they had last year, but they still don't cover everything. So we were just discussing.
Yeah, because we have that, okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the potential for getting some traffic statistics. So that's something that we can probably talk with our statistics, our analyst, and see if that's something that we could kind of categorize going forward.
Yeah, and we can also go ahead and like, we have speed signs that we put in areas of concern, so like, we'll check out that 23rd and Irving and.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Yeah, let's jump into West Colfax real quick.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so as we can see on the left hand of the screen, the crimes against person, it looks like we're overall down about 13%. Looks like there's less aggravated assaults, less forcible sex offenses. There is a slight increase in simple assault, so that's just something without a weapon. So that overall looks pretty good over there. Crimes against property down 19.2%. Criminal mischief looks like that went down. Burglary went down. So again, everyone keep your doors locked, well lit, keep your lights on. It's good to know your neighborhood, just kind of prevent any kind of, like I said, any burglary. Theft for motor vehicle went down. So again, we were given those tips, but then motor vehicle theft, it looks like it did go up about 1. In the winter months, it's important to remember no puffers. Thieves are really quick. They can steal cars very quickly. So keep your vehicles locked. Don't puff your vehicle. Just simple tips like that will help out with that. Then it looks like crimes against society. It looks like that did go up a little bit. A couple of weapons violations. I don't have any specifics on that.
Shot spotter.
Yeah, usually shot spotter alerts. We have a system throughout the city that'll detect gunfire. So we can look into that if you have more questions. And then just all over other offenses, looks like it went from 2 to 4, so it did give an increase to that. So.
Yeah, that was just frustrating. Violation.
And then looks like in comparison from last year, you know, it's all staying about the same, except for the crimes against society. Again, that's usually the shot spotter alerts. We know that all of Denver is experiencing an increase in gun weapons offenses. So again, we're focusing our resources on those. So,
Which leads us to our next slide. We have a firearms safety event.
yeah.
We'll be giving away gun locks. So lock your guns up because they are getting these guns, and it is just, we are seeing a huge increase in gun violence, not even necessarily used against people, but like just firing. So, you know, shot spotter's been going off a lot. So, and a lot of the times people are stealing these guns. We see them most often from cars. So do not leave your guns in cars. And then just, you know, responsible gun ownership. So if you guys want to join us on February 22nd at 6 p.m. at about 4th and Raritan, they're going to do a free firearm safety course, and they'll be giving away gun locks. So, and that's in conjunction with the ATF. We partnered up with them. So please feel free to stop by. Because we would love to see you guys there.
Stop by for a couple of minutes.
And just grab a gun lock. You don't have to stay for the whole course, but yeah. Cool. Any questions on the statistics? Ooh, that's a good question.
Let me shoot indoors.
Oh, the shooting range, yeah. The shooting range, yeah, yes, shoot indoors. It should probably say this on there. It does say it. Never mind, my bad. Okay, any questions on the statistics, guys?
Real quick question. I know it wasn't quite in our neighborhood, but have you all heard any developments on the hit and run fatality? The driver that
On which
killed
one? I'm so sorry.
Logan Rockland at 38th and Sheridan?
Oh, 38th and Sheridan. I don't have any updates on that one. I know that they had put out a vehicle of interest. I don't know if an arrest has been made yet. They had some information on who they thought the suspect may be, but I haven't heard any
any updates, but that's definitely something that we can look into for you guys, because we've got that question a couple times just today for folks. So we would love to follow up on that one for you guys, and we can provide that next meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Their next slide, I think, are a couple of pictures from this meeting. So we had a great meeting, the Community Crime Prevention Coalition, on Thursday, January 19th. So thanks to you guys that made it out there. Commander DeStefani presented, Chief Ron Thomas was there, and it was just a great opportunity to kind of meet with everybody and go over kind of district-wide crime stats and some of the initiatives that we're taking in the districts. And so that one was great. And thank you guys to everyone who participated. Our next district meeting is next Wednesday at 6 p.m. at District 1 Station. So we would love to see everybody there. Come meet with the commander. We'll be there answering any questions. And then we also have our guest speaker at the next meeting is going to be Commander Matt Clark. And he is in charge of, he's the commander of the Major Crimes Division. So he's the guy that handles all the big stuff. So he'll be able to kind of talk about, again, some crime safety tips, just kind of go into what their unit does and provide some really cool information. So we encourage everybody to come to that. And then I think our last, what was that? Commander DeStefani.
I know, but I mean,
We don't know one. We don't know yet. We don't know who our new commander will be.
Okay, from at that meeting, some interesting statistics were spoken about, that last year in District 1 alone, 320 crime guns were seized. There were 122 firearms that were reported stolen within District 1, 88 were from cars. 216 people were charged with 392 weapons violations in District 1 last year. There was 220 aggravated assault firearms with 362 victims. So gun violence is everywhere.
Yeah.
The fact that both people involved in that had a gun, and that one just, it's not the Wild West, I'm sorry.
Feels like it these days. Yeah, it is. Gun crime is definitely on the rise. That's why the department is really pushing gun safety right now and things like the gun locks. Because I mean, these guns are getting stolen and we're doing a good job. We have a lot of proactive teams that are doing a great job at recovering those, as many guns as we can and taking those things off the streets. But if they can't get them in the first place, that would be even better, right? So if we can get those, gun locks and again, don't store education. Yes, yeah. Do not leave them in your cars. So, and then the very last slide that we have is on how you guys can view the crime statistics yourselves. So if you ever have any extra questions or are just curious, I saw a bunch of cops in my neighborhood yesterday. What's going on? The department has put this crime map on the City and County of Denver website, and that's something they talked about at that big meeting. So the link's up there, and then I think the second page kind of gives you maybe a little more instructions. It's really cool. It has a ton of information. So if you guys ever have questions, we are dedicated to transparency. So we want you guys to know what's going on in your own neighborhoods, and so yeah, look at that. He's got it pulled up. That's awesome. Yeah, so that's a fabulous tool. Highly recommend getting on there and just messing around with it a little bit, and you guys can and then always reach out to us with any questions. If you guys have any questions about an incident or whatever, feel free to reach out. So
All of these slides will be posted to our website.
perfect. Sounds good. Yeah, and if y'all ever have any other info we can provide, let us know.
Do we have any questions online for either of the officers tonight? Nope, doesn't look like anyone from here.
No questions? Okay, That's right.
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just something I saw next door. I'm wondering if this is even true.
Okay,
At 32nd Federal, somebody ran a red light
okay.
and a car.
Oh, it flipped a car.
It flipped a car.
Oh, yes, the other morning.
Yes,
Yeah,
Monday.
Yes, Monday morning, and there were no injuries is what we heard.
no injury.
Just, there was like no serious injuries. Yeah,
That's kind of what I was wondering.
yeah. They had federal shut down for a long time cleaning it up, but no serious injuries. Probably.
That's what they said on next door.
Yeah.
And, I'm just, also other people were saying that that's common intersection where there's accidents.
Yes, yeah, it is. So we could look into some.
How do we get to be unsure? Oh, then maybe we need to have a state. I mean, I just think that, you know, with the accident that happened with 38, and, I just do think that there are. Okay, but I still think that it's worth having. And talk about state driving conditions. Because, you know, the speeds that people are taking, even when I'm driving, I'm getting some concern about this, and I think that, you know, whoever we need to bring into these discussions is worthwhile to have.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that is managed with the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure. For the city, for the city streets, like so 23rd and Irving, that would fall under our purview, but yes, Federal and Sheridan, those are our state highways. So that would, I know, right? But that would have to be.
Sorry, could you
something that-
guys please repeat the questions? We can't hear anything going on in the room.
Yes, yeah. So the question was with speeding on Sheridan and Federal. This is, I know, this is our speakers over here. Oh, yes, sorry, guys. So the question was about speeding on Sheridan and Federal. Those two state streets are actually considered state highways. So those are managed by the state. So we were just kind of talking about who we could bring into the conversation to try to alleviate some of those traffic concerns.
I don't know.
I don't.
I've asked for 10 years. And I've been told no. With no other option. But
Okay, yeah. Here, yes, Councilwoman Sandoval is joining us, so she's talking with us.
they asked about the state highway and I said I'd become. No. I've asked, like, why? And they say, no. No. They said that their job is to build out roads and not maintain the right of way, not maintain along the corridors and no,
Well, but if the city owns the easements,
we don't have easements, sir.
well, sidewalks or, I mean, whatever.
The sidewalks are the property owners. We
What's the
have,
side of it? Well, I'm sure that.
it's probably state.
Correct. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know if it's these things, but, it just seems like the speed on those two streets are so, you know, people just try to hit those lights. And it's, you know, it is very dangerous.
Tom, could you summarize what's being said? Sorry, we can't hear anything going on in the room right now.
Well, Amanda said that she has been working for decades plus trying to do something about this, and they, you know, it's the state puts a deaf ear to it. I mean, I think the CDOT, their vision of a best world is to see how fast they can move how many cars through a given area. And they need to be, maybe we need to go through our state legislators and say, hey, if you don't do something about this, we'll cut your funding. Then Meyer was saying that when you drive on these streets that it's more of a racetrack. People are always gunning it to make it through the light.
And I know they have put in some measures like the divided, like the medians on federal, especially on federal, to try to prevent, because there was a lot of fatalities happening on federal pedestrians. So I know they've taken some action, but they're very limited on what the city can participate in. So it probably would be a good idea to reach out to the state legislation and start putting some pressure there. That's about where we're at.
Well, this Saturday is the HG4 meeting. I'm gonna talk to our state senator, our state representative and say, hey, can you strong arm these people?
Any other questions for us?
I don't think so. And thank you very much and welcome. to the
Thank you for
community.
joining us, you guys. We are here if you need
And
anything.
the information I sent on our neighborhood association, was that helpful?
Yes, that was
Okay.
fabulous. Thank you
Okay.
so much. So, yeah, we're around if you need anything.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
And the next.
Here. Hi, everyone.
That's good. They can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Kind of. I think the new, hey, Tom, I think the new microphone isn't working so well. We can't hear that well.
No.
Is there any chance you can unplug it and use the old one?
So we just moved it closer. Can you hear me now?
It's okay. Yeah, it's better. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Well, how about we just turn this one off and go with the computer?
That's what I think you said.
That's. Just a minute.
We're gonna take it.
Thank you.
Okay, how's that?
Much
Better.
better. Thank
That
you.
much better.
That's ridiculous.
I know, and how much did you spend on that one?
Well, it's going back tomorrow. It doesn't matter.
They're gonna turn the mic because it's not
Wow.
working. Well, great to see all of you and great to see all of you in person. I'm Councilwoman Amanda Sandoval, one of your council representatives, councilperson from Jamie Torres's office is here. So some of the things that I've been up to in city council is, speaking of speeding, last year, I bought 2 speed signs for the Denver Police Department and donated them. And so you'll see them throughout the district, and they have the flashing reds on top, and they track speed so that we could actually get an assessment of which roads are speeding is taking place. This is the second pair of signs. So the year prior, I also bought 2 signs with my council budget. So I've bought 4 signs total for Police District 1, because I have heard that speeding is such an issue. And so that's one thing that we're up to. Another thing that we're up to is we have a representative from this group who's working on a project for the Sloan's Lake. We are looking at the assessment and the health of Sloan's Lake. So last year, the city and county of Denver. Sunite.
Mhm.
Yep. So the city and county of Denver produced a assessment of how deep is the lake and how deep is our sediment and where is that sediment happening. And so now they have an advisory group, and one person is from Sloan's Lake Citizen Group, right?
Sunite,
Sunite, is she on here?
right there.
Oh, yeah. Hi, nice to see you. I didn't think your camera was on when we met last time, was it? I don't think we can
She's
hear you.
muted.
Yeah, you're muted.
There we go. Is that better?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, now we can hear you. So we
Okay.
have a representative from Sloan's Lake Citizens Group. We have all kinds of different representatives to help us with this community advisory
advisory group to talk about what type of next steps could we take for the health of Sloan's Lake. So it could come out with different recommendations. One of them could be dredging the lake. One of them could be, what does the community want to see for the health of Sloan's Lake in the future? So AJ Steinke's on that advisory committee as well, and a couple other people
From the Sloan's Lake Foundation.
from the Sloan's Lake Foundation. And so I'm so glad that we're finally getting some eyes on Sloan's Lake and the health and looking at the sustainability of the lake. One of the questions was asked at the last meeting, do we ever think that people will be able to swim in the lake? And they came back with a very clear answer, and the city doesn't always come back with clear answers. And they said, there's a big difference between able to actively swim in the lake, say at like Chatfield or Cherry Creek Reservoir, rather than being able to paddleboard and do other recreational activities on the lake. And so these are gaining feedback and priorities of what is actually helping with Sloan's Lake. Another thing, one of the second neighborhoods that I rezoned to allow accessory dwelling units was the Sloan's Lake neighborhood. And when I did that, a third of the lots couldn't meet the minimum requirement to be able to build an accessory dwelling unit. The city, square footage. The city and county of Denver created a task force. And so they're looking at those recommendations. And because of the work that we did in Sloan's Lake, one of the recommendations is to remove the minimum square footage that you would have to build an accessory dwelling unit so that more people could actually build them and overcome barriers such as being able to adaptively reuse. I know Cindy, she's part of your organization.
Cindy Salem.
She adaptively reused her garage for an accessory dwelling unit, and she's had great success with it. She loves it, and she lives in a historic district. So not only did she have the garage, but then she had to go through design review because she lives in a historic district. And I've talked to her, and she's very glad with the outcomes of the results. One of the other projects that we've been working on is a cultural historic district for the Jewish community. And unfortunately, that's been put on pause. I hosted a meeting in January at the VFW, no, the GI Forum. What's on Colfax and Wolf? Is it the GI Forum?
She was there.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it the GI Forum?
Yeah, it was the VFW hall.
VFW. So the VFW, there seems to be not as much support as we had initially thought for that historic district. So one thing we did do right away is we removed Jewish from the context and from the name because people thought it would bring anti-Semitism into the neighborhood, and people were very nervous about having Jewish and calling out the fact that Jewish people would live in that district. So that no longer name is on my website. And I've been working with Pam Smith, the community representative for that area, because this really has to be community led. And so Pam Smith has decided to take over, and she's working with several of the rabbis to figure out next steps for that, for the cultural district. I think it would be great. One thing I was able to do was secure $20,000 worth of funding for a project called I Am Denver, where it's the Office of Storytelling in Denver. I was able to secure a grant, and they're still going to move forward with the I Am Denver project and interviewing the Jewish community in there and highlighting how long that Jewish community has been in Denver for over 130 years. So that project still is advancing, which is great because I want these codified somehow. So that still will advance. The money's still there, and that project has nothing to do with the cultural historic district. They actually can work separate and advance separately. And that's about it. The only other thing is we had a meeting today with Tom and Tina Phillips about the Dragon Boat Festival. I know it's a big festival that impacts all of you in the Sloan's Lake neighborhood, good and bad, pros and cons. And we are committed to making sure that we figure out how to listen to the needs of the residents in the neighborhood who are most impacted by that event and make sure we come up with really good, solid recommendations on how to respond to things that constituents see on that. And that's about it.
And it got shorted a little bit in the meeting, the fact that many of these big races, specifically like the Broncos or 10K or whatever, they run it on a Sunday morning, and there's certain areas that you're surrounded by the race, you can't get out. And I live in that area.
And how the people who are putting on the races are actually not notifying the registered neighborhood organizations like they are. So we have some details to work out so that if you all get contacted, you should be able to have a contact of the person who's putting on the event.
Yep.
Yeah, the Office of Special Events didn't know that was
Part of the game.
part of that the outreach that was supposedly happening was actually not happening. And then other than that, that's about my update.
Well, thank you for all you do for us.
Hey, you're welcome. Are there any questions for those of you who are online?
We're in the room.
Looks like we got Sarah Feldman here with a question. Sarah, would you like to unmute and ask Councilwoman Sandoval your question?
Hi, listen, could you just tell me again, or tell us again, is the Jewish community still going to work toward identifying certain buildings and areas as part of Jewish heritage? Or is that gone?
I hope so. I provided them with lots of resources to be able to do that, and a boundary and a map that calls out certain structures for their relevance within the Jewish history. So I'm hoping so. And if they do, they can still identify some of those. I was working closely with Rabbi Steinberg when he was the rabbi at the synagogue. And when he left, there seems to be a different shift in mentality of how to move forward. And so I'm letting Pam navigate that with the rabbi from the yeshiva, the rabbi from the synagogue, and then the rabbi from Beth Jacob.
Okay.
To figure that out.
And can you tell me, because there was miscommunication and I never was able to get to that meeting, the last meeting you had. Well, could you express what you're hearing the fear to be?
So
I know there's a lot of fear going on.
I heard directly from two of the people who I was working closely with, not Beth, not Pam, but two of the other community members, that having the calling out and saying a historic cultural Jewish community would actually bring people into the neighborhood. And there was fear that anti-Semitism could take place because we were actually calling out where Jewish people live, and they did not want that to happen. And so there was concern about using that term within the boundary of the district. So I did not know that until the meeting. So I replied immediately and took that term off of my website.
And yet, so just my personal concern, everyone knows that this section was predominantly Jewish. The certain areas predominantly Jewish. And on the other side, many of their families originated also in that area. So it sounded like a point to me that didn't have any substance, because it's always been known as a Jewish area. Now the amount of people that live there is dwindled quite a bit. And so I guess I just don't understand the concern. I know a lot of people don't understand the concern, but I don't understand the concern. So that's why I'm asking you the questions, because to me, it's always been a Jewish area. I would think that people who were not Jewish would be concerned about living here, thinking that it would have been termed a Jewish area and they would be in danger. But that's not what's happening. So thank you.
I'm speaking just as an outsider of not someone who is within the Jewish faith.
Right.
I just want to be as respectful as possible. I heard that concern from the rabbi, Flesher, and I heard the concern from Esther, and I heard several other people came up to me after and said they had concern with calling it out. And so that's when I decided that my office had to take a step back and allow the community to come together to figure out some of the inner workings of what they decided that they wanted to do and advance it for behalf of them. What's challenging is in April, when you all receive your ballots in that area, right now I represent the synagogue,
Right.
the VFW, but I will no longer, when you all vote in April in that area, in that swap, I will no longer be the council representative in
Right.
17th Avenue. And so I was working with President Torres on this project, and the sentiment that we picked up at that meeting was Fievel straight up said that the synagogue wasn't part of the historic district, and it is. Rabbi Steinberg.
No, I
Decided I had to take.
I know where you're coming from. I understand some of the long-term concerns some of these people have. So I don't know. There's not much to say. The only thing I could understand was that people would be fearful also in some way that by doing this they would lose money. That by claiming, their buildings to be of a historic nature, that they somehow felt they would lose money. But I don't know. I'm having a very difficult time understanding what's happening. So I've been talking to people. So, I'm trying to get my own sense of things. I'm having a very difficult time. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
However I can be supportive, they all know that I'm 100% supportive. So however I can be supportive, I will be. I just don't.
I know I'm not sure that the problem itself has actually been identified correctly. So that I guess that's where I'm going. And I thought originally I had heard some little bit of rumbling, okay? I thought this was going to pass by because of the newness of and also drawing the attention. However, it just in my personal view, it's not making this sense to shut all this down. It's not making sense to me. So I'm gonna keep looking into this and try to see what I can do about it on my end. But I don't have like any power or influence, I mean, I know everybody, but it's like I have to wait and see. So as I'm asking questions, I'm starting to hear more than logic, fear. Just a lot of fear. And we should have had a lot more fear than this before. So I don't understand this. So that's where I'm at. So thank you. I appreciate your help. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Any questions? All right. Well, thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you all.
Where's mine?
And our next presenter is the new aide to council and council president Jamie Torres for Council District 3. And yeah.
Boy, it's Austin.
Hop over. And I'm not sure how to pronounce
That's okay. It's Ian.
Ian.
So, hi, everyone. My name is Ian. It's like Ryan without the R, so you can remember it. And I've been with Council President Torres since 2021. But I'm recently taking over Katie Heideman's neighborhood, so all got stuck with me. So I think one first update I wanted to make was our newsletter. I'm not sure if everyone is signed up for our newsletter, and we send it out every week. I put in the chat where you can sign up for the newsletter. If you'd like, we do legislative updates, community updates, and you just can, if you don't have it there, I have this piece of paper for you to put your email down. I can sign y'all up as well. What else is going on? So a couple of legislative updates. Wage theft legislation passed in January. So that's wage theft protections to prevent wage theft. And basically it takes the route so folks don't have to go through the court systems. It's going to go to the auditor's office so people can get paid for unpaid wages and get paid quicker. And then another legislation that went through is freedom to walk and roll. And it's decriminalizing jaywalking within the city. So that also passed 2 weeks ago as well. Another update I wanted to let you know about is expanded waste for trash services. We have heard some complaints that it's a little slow rollout in terms of getting billed, and some folks downgraded their trash. So I would definitely report that to Dottie on denvergov.org. If you're having any issues, feel free to reach out to us. I'll put our email here. And we could look at it. Just know that it's a slow rollout, and there's definitely going to be some growing pains with that. You are able to downgrade your trash. You are able to opt out of it as well. I think their system's just a little overloaded right now. Another bigger thing that's coming up in the West Side is the West Area Plan. So that draft is on DenverGov's website as well. And Planning Board is having a public hearing on the 15th. So that's next Wednesday at 3 p.m. And anyone's able to sign up for public comment if you'd like to kind of participate with that. If it passes, then it goes to the council in March. So that's coming up as well. And the draft for the West Area Plan is 300 pages, but it is on the VD website as well. Just you can kind of scroll through there and see what that steering committee has been working on, and with CPD for the past 3 years now. Councilwoman Sandoval already talked about the Cultural Historical District. I will say the only thing I'll add to that is that Council President Torres was involved with La Alma Cultural District, and seeing that come about, it was community led. She did support that. So she is supportive of whatever the community really wants to kind of pursue. And she does have that experience seeing La Alma become a cultural historical district. And lastly, just wanted to update you. Obviously, everyone knows the elections are coming up, but there's going to be a mayoral forum specifically for the West Side. I believe about 8 mayoral candidates so far have signed up for that. That's going to be at Isis on February 22nd.
At where?
Isis, and you know where that is? It's a brewery. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And that's going to be on February 22nd. So that's an opportunity to come and talk to the candidates about what their vision for the West Side is. So that's a nice opportunity.
There's an additional mayoral debate tomorrow night at Regis.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of different events going on. We can't work for the council office kind of talk about all the the different debates. Yeah, but that this one is nonpartisan. It's just kind of talking about the West Side, and everyone's invited. So but I do encourage everyone to make sure you're registered to vote and get the word out.
Could you mention what's going to be on the ballot with regard to the request to lift the conservation easement for the Parkland Ballparks?
Yes, I can tell you, yes, so it's basically, does the public want that conservation easement to be lifted? And so it cannot only be a golf course anymore. So that's gonna be yes or no on the ballot.
We at the long drawn out meeting.
It was.
It was only from 5 to 1:30.
Yeah. I felt so bad for Council President Torres. She's a trooper. but-
Well, she couldn't lead. She was in charge.
No, he was in charge and she had to keep it going. So yeah, that isn't at the end of the ballot.
Well, welcome to Sloan's Lake area, and we hope to see you on a regular basis. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And then, oh, I will put also my email in the chat too.
Do we have any questions online for Ian?
And if anything comes up, that's my email. So feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Nice meeting y'all. Likewise.
Think the safe way out.
I'm gonna do this. It's been a long day.
Yeah, Keith, could you do update?
Hi, everyone. Keith Meyer. I am the delegate from Sloan's Lake Citizens Group to the INC, which is the Inter-Neighborhood Cooperation, which is a collection of RNOs from around the city. It's been going through some kind of regrouping over the last few months, and we're really excited about what's coming up this year. I'm actually vice president of Inc. as well now. So we've got a lot on the calendar that we're trying to get squared away for our monthly meetings, which occur on Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. And if anyone's interested, I can put my email address in the chat to get our updates in our newsletter. Sloan's Lake Citizens Group is a member of Inc. And we can send out our information on these to the group as well. But we have some really exciting things coming up. We had a discussion in January on the redistricting for the school district boundaries. And that was very lively. And also we had a discussion on safe streets and safe walking conditions for kids going to schools, and making better conditions, I think, around, especially when it snows out. So that was really helpful. And coming up this month, we're going to have what I think is going to be a really interesting discussion and presentation from the Office of Special Events. So if anyone's looking to do anything this summer on your streets, if you want to close things down and have a block party, or do events at a local, like a park or something, the Office of Special Events is going to be speaking to us about how to go through that process. And how to make sure you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's in terms of getting all the right equipment to do that. We're also going to have a presentation from Viva Streets, which is a new program that's, I think, coming to Denver, which will be focusing on possibly looking at streets to close on certain, I think, weekends throughout the year to allow public to come out and use the streets. And kind of like a park-like atmosphere, bicyclists, walkers, pedestrians can you come out and use the streets. So that's going to be pretty interesting. And then we have kind of a great lineup that we're getting ready for this year. Later on in April, we're going to be talking about air pollution in Denver and greening Denver, and we're going to try to get some folks in from possibly the American Lung Association and Conservation Colorado to talk about some air pollution issues that Denver's really going through right now. In May, we're going to be focusing on, you're getting a low battery, I don't know if you need to plug this in. But May is going to be at the Elks Club here on 26th Avenue in Jefferson Park. We're actually going to have a discussion, and I am working on getting several RNOs from the north side of Denver to co-host this event. And what we're going to be talking about is increasing membership in RNOs, and especially when that comes to diversity and inclusion. And really trying to figure out ways to get a lot of different kinds of folks, a lot of different neighbors to RNO meetings and community meetings and becoming part of organizations. So I just want to take this opportunity to invite Sloan's Lake. If you would like to be a co-host for this event, it's going to be on May 13th. From 9 to 11 in the morning at the Elks Club. And I can talk to you more about that, Tom, after this.
Okay.
But we'd really love to have you. Sunnyside has already signed up to join, and as well as the Highlands. We're going to be talking to Jefferson Park and Brun as well. So hoping that Sloan's Lake would like to join in for that. And then we got some other great programs in June. We're going to be talking about alternative transportation. Alan, I think I'm going to want to talk to you about that. We're going to have a great meeting on bicycling and other forms of new multimodal transportation around the city. And we're really going to talk about some of this Vision Zero stuff that's going on with Denver and whether it's meeting that. There's been a lot of accidents lately, and I think we're all concerned and really want to have a discussion about that. And so we're looking forward to that. And then I think I'm going to blow the news a little early here, but we're getting ready for our awards event that's been an annual occurrence, but it didn't happen during COVID. And we just secured Raices, who is going to have this mayoral debate and is in Sun Valley for our awards ceremony in the fall. And we're really excited about that as well. So those are just some updates from me.
Could you also tell us about the Sustainability Committee?
Sure. The Sustainability Committee spent a lot of time last year working on, we actually worked with Parks and Rec and zoning to kind of come up with some topics and some discussions around open space. And I don't know if everyone knows this or not, but Denver is far below the national average on public parks and open space per resident. The national average is about 13% and Denver's at about 9%. And so we really came up with some topics on greening Denver, how we can have more open space with rising property values. It's really a challenge right now. And so what we did was take that and we're putting out a candidate questionnaire for all the folks that are running for mayoral and city council races this spring, and we're sending that out actually at the end of the week. And those questions about open space and whether or not candidates are committed to putting people in the Parks Department that are committed to buying large land acquisitions, if that's going to be possible, or if they support that. And then also, what are their other efforts to green our streets? And that's really what the Climate and Sustainability Group has been working on lately. And I think we're gearing up for some discussions this year that will kind of go off of that and also talk about air pollution in Denver. And, a topic that came up last year that I think we're going to continue to kind of have more discussions about. I know the city forester is a proponent of this, but he's also retiring, is right away for street trees, and whether that should be the homeowner's responsibility or the city's. And I think there, is a discussion to be had out there similar to the sidewalk issue that we had last year in the city. So, and we'd welcome anybody that wants to join and have more conversations about stuff.
Any questions for Keith?
Yeah.
2 questions. Do you know how many school districts are in Denver? Is it just one school district?
I'm not sure. I think
it's the school board reps for Denver Public Schools and the boundaries.
I believe that. Is it 10 or 11? I don't
know.
I'm not sure. I think there's 13. Is there 13 members of the school board? There might be 10 districts. I would have to check on that. I'm not for sure. Oh, the question, I'm sorry if you didn't hear the question. It was how many districts, school board member districts are there? Alan, do you know that?
Yeah, there are, I believe, 2 at large and then 5 districts. There's 7. I do know for sure there's 7 people on the board, plus Dr. Marrero, the superintendent.
Okay.
178 districts in the states. I was just wondering. The second question is, we have this election coming up. We're going to look at
a couple of dogs.
Look at the land, the public land, the golf course.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like you're doing a questionnaire of the candidates. Will you be taking a position on it, but since you're where the Denver is sub,
Inc.'s position in the past has been to keep the conservation easement. That position has not changed. I do think that there is a challenge within Inc. because we are a member, our members are neighborhoods, and some neighborhoods support this because they are, wanting affordable housing in their neighborhood. I think there is a difference of opinion on where that affordable housing can be found. I think that, I have my personal opinions, but I think the official position of Inc. is not to lift the conservation easement, but that position was decided on, I believe, in 2019. That position was taken. So I wouldn't say that it's something that's been decided as of late. And I think we've, because Inc. has taken a position on this, I think during this debate, because we've seen how controversial it's been within the organization, that we're hesitant to really have either side come and do a huge presentation on it, just because we know how divisive it is for Inc.
so you will not be taking a public position.
I don't think Inc.'s position is any different than it was in 2019, which is that it was against lifting the conservation easement.
Thank you.
It looks like, Alan, there's no online questions.
Janine, did you have I saw you came on video. Were you just coming on to see folks, or did you have any questions? I want to make sure we address you. Okay, great, perfect. No, I don't think we have any questions online.
All right, if that's it, I'm gonna
All right.
bow out. Take care.
Thanks, Keith.
Yep.
Thank you, Keith. Okay, if you could, Alan, get slides 14 and 15 up.
Sure thing. Give me one sec here. This is the Volunteers of America, the Aristocrat, Tom?
Yeah, and so those are the ones there. Okay. Since the Volunteers of America made a presentation about 1.5 years ago, the program design has changed. And at that time, we did a straw poll to send to the city and county of Denver, requesting that they look positively at some funding options for them. And in the meantime, the program has changed and they want to increase the size of what they're now calling the Theodora Family Hotel, which is on the east side of Xavier and Colfax. And so the view to on the left side here is what you see on Colfax, and the other one will be the main entrance that is on Xavier. It will be a emergency housing, they would call it a family hotel, but for people experiencing homelessness that are like parents with kids or families with kids or just families. And it'll be a place until they will be given support services and allowed to stay there a bit longer than some of the other emergency shelters till they can find permanent housing. And what Lindy Sinton, who is our contact at Volunteers of America, was requesting that we do a straw poll tonight just to see about support for writing a letter to the state requesting some money, and the state has put has been putting together a lot of money for the homelessness initiatives. And they're hoping that they'll be able to tap a little bit of this for this project. The Volunteers of America has had the Aristocrat Motel running there that they bought 20 years ago, maybe even longer. And the buildings have reached their life expectancy. There's it's ongoing constant repairs, and they thought it was a good time to do this. So I can't remember that. I didn't. Linda asked how many people will it be, and I think it's going to be like 80 rooms, but I didn't get the specifics on it. But they've added one additional story in height from their previous to increase the capacity because the need is there. And so, Alan, if you could set up a little straw poll thing.
Yeah, as a reminder, the last time we did this, I think it was unanimous that SLCG wanted to support this. Just as a reminder of what happened last time. I'll go ahead and launch that poll now. For folks that are online, if you could either vote yes or no, if you'd like to support this. And Tom and Deb, would you mind doing a straw poll there in the room?
Okay, everybody in favor? Oh yeah, to just write a letter of support to the state funding agency from Sloan's Lake Citizens Group saying that we support what is going on in our neighborhood association. And so this is at Colfax and Xavier, which is dead heart in the center of our neighborhood association. So.
And do they supply parking for all the vehicles that be involved in additional rooms?
Yeah, she asked if they would be providing parking, and by the looks of the diagram here, it looks like there is parking there. They have provided parking in their other buildings that they built 2 blocks west.
One parking for.
I don't know.
What was the question, Tom?
The question was, will they be providing parking? And I don't know, but it looks like from the ratio, I don't know what that is.
Thank you. And also Janine Spicer had a comment saying online it will have 52 rooms. So it sounds like it's 52 was the unit count.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The other thing I'll add to this as people consider it is that Colfax Elementary has been at risk of closing. So certainly an opportunity to have more families here in the neighborhood would help that school get the enrollment numbers up as well.
Okay, do you want to get the online going and in person here in the room? So we have five
Yes.
5 yes. Are you an abstain? And 1 abstain.
Okay, and we have 5 people to vote. I'll give everyone 10 seconds. If they haven't voted yet, please go ahead and cast your vote now. I'll go ahead and end the poll. We had 5 people voting online yes, and I can't vote since I'm the host. I would be 6. So 6 people online voting yes, 0 people voting no.
Okay. 5 plus 5. All right. So except for abstention, it was very positive. So thank you very much. Volunteers of America has been working for over 100 years in the Denver area to help those less fortunate. And unfortunately, right now, there's an awful lot of less fortunate people in the area. Okay, if you could do the next slide. So there is a new a group running this redevelopment. The original property owners took the project through rezoning, and then they sold the package to Arrow Capital. And there's a local man named Brad Winters who is spearheading the project here in Denver. And one of the changes that they made is they have about the same number of units, but buildings 2, 3, and 4 are really now going to be one big building. And they have the schematic development plan has gone through 3 rounds of comments with the city, and each time they pick up and address the comments that the city made, and so they're in for a review. Hopefully, he said that they have addressed all their concerns and they won't come up with anything new, which, if that's the case, they are planning on breaking ground in July.
Location, please.
Okay, this is 17th and Sheridan. So they took down those houses. He said that they could not wait to get the demolition permits because they had been hiring an off-duty policeman to stay on the site every night to keep the vagrants and keep problems from happening. Is this before or after?
Here's the site today.
Oh, okay. And it's just a wide open, it goes from any place to 17th and from Sheridan to the alley between Zenobia and Sheridan. So
How many units are there?
I think there's 40, but I'm not sure. I'm not
Where's
sure.
the parking?
They have it's all surface parking, and they are providing one parking place per unit.
Is this supposed to be 1.5?
I don't know, and that's why I was hoping we could have him here to answer questions. And
Sorry,
he-
Tom, could you repeat the question?
Oh, yeah, he was saying, isn't it required 1.5, and I'm not sure, so hopefully next month that I can get Brad Winters to be here with us. Sent him, said, if you give me your email address, I can send you the link to the meeting, and never heard back. So hopefully he gets more responsive. But the plan has not changed in that we will be getting from Annie Place to 17th, an 8-foot tree lawn along Sheridan, an 8-foot wide concrete sidewalk, as we will get along Annie Place from the alley to Sheridan and from Sheridan to the alley at 17th. So we will be getting something that I've been working with the city on for 25 years. Finally, we moved into the neighborhood in 1973, and there was no sidewalk then. I mean, being a state highway, the state widened it and said, we don't code. And currently there's a whole bunch of demolition from 16th to Annie, and I will be looking into when the development is on that, and any development that happens will have to put in the sidewalks in Sheridan, as these people will. So maybe we'll get a safe walkway. Okay. Then the next thing is, we don't have a slide for this, but it was brought to our attention that Excel is planning a $32 million investment in the Sloan's Lake and Edgewater area on putting in new gas lines, natural gas lines for 6,800 customers. And it's a $32 million thing and project. And they will be putting in 18,000 feet of new piping. And next, they've been under fire apparently lately about high prices of gas. And I finally got some comments from them, and we will have Grace Ramirez from Excel will give us a full update next month on it. But I wanted to let everybody know.
Was they gonna charge?
Well, they will not charge the existing customers. This will be amortized over all the Excel customers in the area.
This is at a time when we're trying to reduce gas usage and to convert over.
Right, and that is what they're wanting us to reduce gas usage, convert to electricity. And that is part of the questions that we want to ask. And the Colorado Sun article had the same question as, why are they doing this right now?
Yeah, and then charging people.
Right.
So anyway, I think maybe next month, I will get Grace Ramirez and we can ask her some good questions.
Can we get somebody on the opposite side of that? City. Have something to say about.
Well, they said that they've gotten the permits.
Sorry, Tom, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, that Keith was wondering if we get somebody from the city to say what, that if we're wanting to go green and all of this, why are they doing this? One of the issues that I found out was that they have not gotten their permit for Denver yet. So maybe that's being caught in, that part, but it's no answer is not an acceptable answer.
Thank you. I can, cities. What was the price tag?
$32 million. Okay, and we're getting close to the end. The next three slides were, if you could put up 17 by itself first, Alan. Okay, I guess we combined all three. The Denver Homeless Memorial Vigil was held December 21st, 2022, and it highlighted all of the people that died homeless on the streets of Denver in 2022. And let's see what the number was here. They've been doing these vigils for 30, I can't read that, Alan, 33
years.
And how many? 260.
63.
263 people died last year on the streets of Denver alone. And I just think it shows what problems we have with homelessness and what problems we have with allocation of resources in our country. And this is just the city and county of Denver. This does not include any of the suburbs. And Linda and I have been to some of these memorials, and they didn't read each name aloud this time, but in the past, they would read the name, and then you'd hold up a candle and say, "You will be remembered." And with reading 263 names, it could take a while, but it's nice that at least their names are acknowledged here rather than just being taken to a pauper's grave. So on a better, more up note, our next meeting is March 8th. And I just thought people should know that this happens, and it's not been, these vigils have not been very well publicized or well attended, but it's something that it could be anybody's sister, brother, mother, father, kids. And we need to do better as a society. Any comments?
Could I add one quick thing, Tom? Besides that nice thing that you just mentioned there about remembering folks. I want to let you guys know from a Dottie perspective, there are a couple projects not directly impacting our neighborhood, but I just put a link in the chat. Dr. Cog, or the Denver Regional Council of Governments, is doing their call for HIPs, or transportation improvement projects. There's really 5 of them that come close to our neighborhoods. One is improvements on West Colfax, west of Sheridan, of making that safer for pedestrians. So technically in Lakewood, there's another one in Wheat Ridge for a 35th Avenue bikeway. The one that does touch Sloan's Lake is the Federal Boulevard BRT improvements. And then for our neighbors to the north up by Inspiration Point, they're talking about putting in sidewalks finally between 49th and 52nd Avenue. So I put the link in there. If anyone would like to go in there to comment, to support, or give concerns about any of these projects on here, it's a great opportunity to do so, to improve mobility for folks that use wheelchairs, walk, bike, and use transit.
Well, that wasn't that piece up by the Willis Case Golf Course part of that video when the people walk the streets?
Yeah, it was. And now finally, we've got, I think the amount of money that we can get funded for that, it's a $5.6 million grant out of the $7.6 million that it will cost to finally put in a sidewalk where there is no sidewalk on either side. And as you probably know, there's several mobile home parks north of there where a lot of people don't own cars and rely on walking or using transit. So it'd be a welcome addition for anybody that tries to walk up there.
On the west side of Sheridan, it could be problematic with that huge retaining wall.
That's part of it. I think the retaining wall construction is going to be part of the process. So I think it would be on the west side as opposed to the east side, so folks don't get hit by golf balls over at Willis Case.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining us tonight, and you will be posting the link to the video, the recording of this, so we can put it on our website, correct, Alan?
That's right. Yep.
All right.